Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going to explore a captivating story from the book of Genesis, the story of Isaac and Rebekah.
Ah, Isaac and Rebekah, a classic.
You probably already know about Abraham, the central figure in this whole tale, right? He's super devoted to his son Isaac and wants the best for him.
Of course, a good father wants his son to be happy.
Exactly, and that includes finding him a wife. But here's the catch. Abraham is very specific about where this wife should come from.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. He doesn't want Isaac just marrying anyone, right? He wants to keep it within the family line.
You got it. Abraham insists that Isaac's bride must be one of his own people, back in his homeland. No local Canaanites need apply.
This detail right at the beginning is so fascinating because it reveals so much about Abraham's priorities.
It's like he's saying heritage and faith are non-negotiable. He's building a legacy here.
Exactly. It goes way beyond just Isaac's happiness. It's about preserving his family's traditions, their whole way of life.
So to make sure this vision becomes reality, Abraham turns to his most trusted servant and gives him a pretty crucial mission.
Yeah, to travel to a distant land and find the perfect bride for Isaac. Talk about pressure.
You could say that again. This is a huge responsibility. But the servant sets off without a question. He's got 10 camels loaded with Abraham's wealth, and he's heading all the way to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor.
The journey itself is a testament to their commitment to this whole plan. It's not a simple errand. This is a huge undertaking.
Absolutely. But the story takes an even more intriguing turn when the servant arrives at a well outside the city of Nahor.
It's evening, right? When the women would come out to draw water.
Perfect timing.
Hmm.
And the servant sees this as a chance for, well, a little divine intervention.
Makes sense. He's on a mission from God, after all.
So he prays for a sign, a very specific sign.
Let me guess. It has something to do with the women at the well.
You know it. He asks God that the woman who offers to water not only him, but also all 10 of his thirsty camels, that's the one meant for Isaac.
Wow. That's a pretty tall order, even for a kind-hearted woman. 10 camels. That's a lot of water.
Right. It's a test of character, you could say. But what's amazing is that before he even finishes praying,
Don't tell me the perfect woman appears.
like something out of a dream, a young woman arrives at the well, and she's described as being very beautiful. Her name is Rebekah.
Rebekah. I love how the story unfolds.
She draws water for the servant, no problem. But then, get this, she offers to water all 10 camels.
All 10. Wow, that's incredible.
I know. Talk about going above and beyond. The servant is blown away. He knows this is the sign he prayed for. He showers Rebekah with gifts, a golden earring, 2 golden bracelets.
He wants to make sure she knows he's serious. But what about her family? Do they fit into Abraham's plan?
That's where things get really interesting. He asks about her family and finds out that Rebekah is the granddaughter of Nahor.
Wait, Nahor, as in Abraham's brother.
The very same. What seemed like a chance meeting is actually a perfectly orchestrated divine encounter.
Mind blown. I love how everything connects.
Me too. So the servant is invited back to Rebekah's home, and he tells her family the whole story.
I bet they were on the edge of their seats listening to that story.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
He makes sure to emphasize that God has been guiding and protecting him every step of the way.
Smart move. It builds trust, you know? Shows he's not just some random guy showing up with camels and jewelry.
And it works. Rebekah's family recognizes that God is behind all of this, and they give their blessing for the marriage.
What about Rebekah? I mean, that's a huge decision to just go off with a stranger to marry someone she's never met.
She shows incredible faith and courage. She agrees to go with the servant to meet Isaac.
That's amazing. Talk about a leap of faith. It makes you think about how we approach big decisions in our own lives.
Right. Do we just go with our gut, or do we look for signs, for guidance? It's a powerful question, for sure.
So what happens next? They just head off to meet Isaac.
They say their goodbyes,
Mhm.
and the caravan sets off with Rebekah, her nurse, and of course the servant leading the way. Meanwhile, back in the South Country,
Isaac's just hanging out, waiting for his bride to show up.
not quite. Isaac is out in the fields, meditating.
Ah, so he's a thoughtful guy, spiritual. It makes their meeting even more special.
Exactly. And it creates this beautiful moment of anticipation. Isaac sees camels approaching in the distance.
And Rebekah, she's probably filled with all kinds of emotions, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Nervous excitement, curiosity, maybe a little fear of the unknown. She spots Isaac and asks the servant, "Who's that?"
Simple question, but so loaded. Her whole life is about to change.
The servant tells her it's Isaac, and Rebekah, following the custom, covers herself with a veil.
A symbol of respect, of modesty. She's transitioning from a young woman to a wife.
It's a powerful moment. Isaac welcomes Rebekah into his mother Sarah's tent, and they are married. We're told that Isaac loved Rebekah, and he found comfort in her, especially after his mother's death.
That's a beautiful detail. It shows a real connection between them, a bond that goes beyond duty or tradition.
It's a love story that's built on a foundation of faith, obedience, and trust in something bigger than themselves.
So we've got faith, divine intervention, obedience, and a beautiful love story. What more could you ask for?
It's an amazing story, but it also makes you think, right, what does it all mean for us today, thousands of years later?
That's where our deep dive really begins. This story, it's not just an ancient tale. It's full of these timeless nuggets of wisdom that we can still learn from.
Oh, absolutely. Like take the servant's prayer, for example. He asks for guidance when making a huge decision.
Exactly. We don't have to figure everything out on our own. We can turn to a higher power or maybe our own intuition or those beliefs that really matter to us.
Yeah, it's like acknowledging that we don't have all the answers.
Right, and that it's okay to ask for help, to seek wisdom from something bigger than ourselves.
I love that. And then there's this whole idea of shared values, which is huge for Abraham.
Oh, yeah, he's adamant that Isaac marries one of his own people, someone who shares their beliefs and traditions.
Which even today makes so much sense when you think about compatibility. It's not just about, like, initial attraction.
It's about finding someone who's on the same page as you, who shares those core values and goals for life.
Exactly. A strong foundation for a lasting relationship. Makes you wonder, what other lessons can we find in this story that apply to us today?
Well, I think Rebekah's courage is pretty inspiring. She leaves everything she knows to journey to a new land.
To marry a man she's never met. I mean, that's a huge leap of faith.
It is, but it speaks to her adventurous spirit, She's willing to step outside her comfort zone and embrace the unknown.
That resonates with me so much. I think fear holds a lot of us back from going after what we want.
Right. But Rebekah's story reminds us that sometimes the most amazing things happen when we take that risk.
When we trust the journey.
Yeah.
Even when we don't know exactly where it's going.
Exactly. And then there's this beautiful reminder about love and comfort, even amidst loss.
Isaac finds solace in Rebekah after his mother passes away. It shows how powerful a loving relationship can be.
That support, that deep connection, it can help us through those tough times.
So we've explored the story of Isaac and Rebekah. We've uncovered its themes and how they still apply to us today.
But we want to hear from you, our listener. Now, thinking about this story, how do you approach big decisions in your life?
Do you look for signs, like the servant? Or maybe you go with your gut feeling?
Or a combination of both. It's different for everyone, right?
Definitely. There's no one right way. But it's fascinating to consider these different approaches and to think how this ancient story, it can still offer guidance and insight into our own experiences.
It's a reminder that some things, like love and faith and the search for a life well lived, those are timeless.
They're journeys we all take in our own way, with challenges, of course, but also incredible rewards.
And that's what makes these stories so powerful. They speak across generations.
They offer wisdom and inspiration if we're open to it. So on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the book of Genesis. We hope you found it thought-provoking.
We always love exploring these ancient texts, and we hope you'll keep joining us on these deep dives.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world around you.